here we are on Sodor, getting ready for a very big day ahead of us. Some of our friends have their own adventures to share. As well as nearly all the engines shared their own stories, we do have some shared by buses and helicopters. Both steam engines and diesel engines will be sharing their own stories, mateys. The Fat Controller wants everyone to work well and to make sure the stories they'll be introducing to make them sound very exciting. Before the story starts that they'll be introducing, they can tell you where you can find their best adventures. Look out for any of our friends in many more of our adventures. Never forget to keep on watching after the last story and you will get introduced to a very special music video. See if you can spot any engine you can see running down the line, how fast they can go, the number of coaches and trucks they are pulling. All my engines are telling you it is 80 whole years of the railway stories, and I hope you enjoy this video, and I will leave you of my first two engines to introduce the first story, and I will see you at the end of the last story. Hello, I'm Sir Handel, and I'm Duke, and we're here to tell you our adventure on the mountain road. This happened many years ago when Peter Sam was called Stuart and I was Falcon. We worked with good old Grandpuff on his old line. The manager gave me a special with a new coat of paint, and I had to learn the mountain road. I had to tell Sir Handel, Falcon, that was a very difficult part of the line to run on. He wanted to lead, and I had to tell him to ignore the view. I really regretted not listening to Grandpuff when we got out at the other end of the tunnel, and I slid off the rails and hung dangerously over the edge of the rock face. I kept hold of Falcon, so he couldn't roll off the edge, but the biggest problem of all, I couldn't put him back onto the track because my water tank had run dry. Fortunately, we were saved. Where the accident was, we were right next to the workman's cottage. All the passengers climbed out of the coaches and helped to fetch jugs, buckets, kettles and saucepans filled with water until Grandpuff was strong enough to heave me back onto the track. We set off to the last station at the end of the line. I was glad that Falcon was safe, and all the passengers declared me a hero. After this story, some more of our friends on our railway will be introducing another story, and that's why we are the first to introduce this story, because we're not in the next story, and so they'll tell you about us before their story starts, where you can find our adventures. In the meantime, have a look at this adventure. Hello, we're the narrow gauge engines. I'm Skarloey, I'm Rheneas, I'm Peter Sam, I'm Rusty, and I'm Duncan. We like to show you a story on our railway, and I think it's all down to Duncan to tell us what happened because he was the main character. Yes, that's right. It all started when I was waiting for Peter Sam at the station to bring me my wagons. Unfortunately, I ran into a low-hanging branch which knocked my whistle off, and I wasn't allowed to work without a whistle. I had to do Peter Sam's work as well as my own. I was showing off of my own whistle too much. I whistled at some sheep, Elizabeth, who was waiting at the crossing, and at that moment when I whistled at Terence, who was ploughing in the field, my whistle shot off like a rocket and disappeared. It was lucky for you that the headmaster with his organ came up with a solution to help you get back home without your whistle. He used his organ to alert everyone as you were coming down the line. And just as Duncan, the musical engine, pulled into the yard, we whistled along to that joyful tune that the headmaster was playing on with his organ. Even I did, because I had a shiny new whistle, and I told Duncan he did a great job delivering his goods without his whistle, and it's just like what he said, an engine isn't an engine without a whistle. I was pleased that the headmaster used the organ as a temporary whistle, but I didn't think it was dignified to say so. Don't forget, you can enjoy our adventures on our railway, and more about Sir Handel and Duke on this link. So off we go with our adventure story. Hello, I'm Stepney, the Bluebell engine. I would love to show you my most favourite memory. It's the time when I was invited to come and work the Fat Controller's railway and to meet all his other engines. I work on the Bluebell railway and I was hoping for a good long run, and it was a good long run to his railway. Everyone was pleased to meet me there, except Thomas. He wasn't very keen on meeting me for a start because he wanted his branch line to be more famous than mine. Well, shortly after I arrived, I worked with Duck, and later that evening a special train had been ordered and I was asked to take it. All the other trains had been put to a stop because of my special, and Thomas wasn't at all pleased about that. But I came up to him and apologised for the inconvenience from being shunted from his own branch line, and then we became great friends. You can enjoy the best of my adventures on this link. I hope you enjoyed this story. I'm Harold the helicopter. Our favourite adventure is the time when I rescued Pegasus, the cart horse for the vicar's fete. Well, I wanted to help with the organisation with the fete, but I was on rescue duty, and it seemed like that nobody needed rescuing at all. But surprisingly, someone did needed rescuing. It was Pegasus. He ran into a ditch just as he was about to be loaded to be taken to the fete, and so I heaved him out of the ditch with my sling and carried him very carefully to the fete. Everyone was so pleased that I came to his rescue and wanted me to stay for the celebration. I said I can, and be on rescue duty as well. You can follow my high-flying and rescue mission adventures on this link. Bye for now! I'm Bertie the bus. I want to show you my most favourite adventure. It's the time when I was trying to catch up with Edward. It was only because I had Thomas's passengers, and I needed to tell Edward that Thomas wasn't able to run on his branch line because he was called out at another job at the big station. I missed Edward at the first level crossing just as he left his station, and when I almost caught up with him at the second crossing on his branch line, but I just missed him. But my driver and Thomas's passengers came up with a plan to catch Edward at the next station. We kept on the road close to the line and got up the hill easily, and finally we arrived at the next station, and I told Edward about Thomas's passengers. They got on board Edward's train, and I went back to the big station to tell Thomas that his passengers managed to catch their train. There are many more adventures of me on the road on this link. Enjoy my adventure! I'm Devious Diesel. I have a story to tell you. It's the time when I got Duck, the Great Western engine, sent away. Well, it was not long after I just arrived on the yard to work with the other steam engines. The Fat Controller ordered Duck to show me around, and I had to learn. I said that diesels didn't need to learn. We'd come to a yard and prove that they can manage. And just as I was about to show how I can handle trucks, they started to laugh and sing rudely at me. I still believe that Duck made this happen, and I decided to tell the trucks about what Duck had said about to the other engines. And when they found out why the trucks were laughing at them, they blamed it all on Duck. When the Fat Controller got involved, he sent Duck to Edward Station, and I was so pleased about that. You can see the best of my devious stories on this link. Hello, I'm Bill, and I'm Ben, and we're the Tank Engine twins. Our favourite memories is when we became heroes. We often work at the quarry, and Ben was hoping for a surprise. We were called out to the job on Edward's branch line and promised Gordon to fetch his coaches for his evening express. It didn't go according to plan when the trucks tricked us of where they wanted to be shunted. We had to sort out that dreadful muddle, which made us very late to collect Gordon's coaches. But the following day, when we went back to working at the quarry, something very bad happened. A huge rock slide came right down from the hills, and we had to get all the workmen in on empty trucks and evacuate from the quarry as the rock slide destructed the entire quarry. Fortunately, nobody got left behind, nobody got hurt, and we're all safe. The Fat Controller knew it wasn't our fault, although we still have a lot to learn about trucks. However, we saved them from the dreadful avalanche and declared us heroes. And being called heroes was the nicest surprise we've been ever called. You can see the best of our adventures on this link. See you soon! Hello, I'm Oliver, and I'm a Great Western engine. I love to tell you the time when Toad, my brake van, came up with a plan to pay Scruffy and all the other trucks back from their ghastly tricks. I'd just come back from being mended when these troublesome trucks pushed me down the turntable well. I had learned my mistake about those trucks, but I'm afraid to tell you they were still up to no good. Scruffy and the other trucks sung a very rude song about me, The other engines tried their best to stop them, but it was no use. However, Toad thought of how they can be stopped for those trucks from misbehaving. He explained to me what solution to sort out this trouble, and so I fetched my train of troublesome trucks, and Scruffy was right at the front of my train. This was the very moment to teach Scruffy a great lesson. I pulled so hard that he came apart. Rotten wood and rusty frames flew everywhere. Toad's plan did work, a little too well I must say, but let me tell you, these trucks have been a lot less troublesome with me ever since Scruffy had learnt his lesson, and I will not stand any nonsense from them again. You can enjoy the best of my great western adventures on this link here. So long for now. I'm Donald. And I'm Douglas, and we're the Scottish Twin Engines. This is the story, is when we're allowed to stay on Sodor. When we first arrived on the Back Controllers Railway, we caused all sorts of trouble. I ran into the signal box and Dougie broke the spiteful brake van. We were so worried that the Fat Controller was going to send us back after both of those accidents. It took a very long time, I must say, and that is when the first winter snow came early and we had to work with our snowplows, with our van between our tenders. And that is when we discovered Henry stuck in the snowdrift. He was so grateful that we came to his rescue, but nobody was happy because they were worried that the Fat Controller was going to send us back. They wanted us to stay after our hard work in the snow, and they spoke to the Fat Controller about the problem, and the good news was he allowed us to stay and forgave us for our accidents, and everyone was happy. You can enjoy me and Dougie's adventures on this link here below your screen. Hello, I'm Duck, the Great Western Engine. My most favourite adventures was when I paid an unexpected visit to the barber shop. And this happened just after Diesel had been telling lies about me, and the Fat Controller sent me to work with Edward at his station. I felt a lot happier with Edward, and I helped him at the top of the hill with his train of trucks. When I left Edward with his train, I rode gently over the crossing to the other line and raced down at the bottom of the hill. But just as I approached the signal box, there was trouble. The guard had blown a warning whistle to tell me that the troublesome trucks broke free from Edward and they were running loose down the line. I had to get away quickly so they didn't catch up with me. Unfortunately, they did manage to catch up with me, just as I ran past Edward's station all the way to the viaduct. Worse was to follow. James was just up ahead, pulling out of the station with his coaches. He just managed to get as far as the water tower just past the point when I ran into a siding where a barber had set a shop. He was in the middle of shaving a customer when I crashed into his wall. I wasn't badly hurt, fortunately, but the barber wasn't at all pleased with my intrusion and lathered my face all over. The Fat Controller arrived and explained to the barber about the accident, and so the barber filled a basin of water to wash the foam off my face. When I was pulled to safety, the Fat Controller had even more good news for me. He said that I can come home as soon as I was properly washed and mended. The engines were sorry and want me back, and Diesel had been sent away in disgrace because the Fat Controller found out that he had lied all along. You can see my great adventures on this link here, on this screen below you. That's it for now. Time for you to enjoy this story. Hello, I'm Toby, the tram engine. My most favourite memories of my lifetime on Sodor is when I met the ghost of the old warrior at the mine. It all started early one morning when the Fat Controller took his day off by taking his grandchildren to the seaside and asked me to take them there. The children had made such a fabulous sandcastle and it looked just like the one that got built many years ago. The Fat Controller wanted to know if it was still there, so off we go on our big adventure. The signalman showed us the way, and it was so exciting exploring that old line when we came to two old junctions. One led to the castle and the other to the mine. I thought the castle was splendid, but I found the mine really spooky. Fat Controller wanted the both castle and the mine to be an attractive place for visitors, and that plan soon got put into action. I was sure that the mine looked haunted, and I was so frightened when it was my turn to stay on the mine on guard. Thomas warned me about the ghost of the old warrior, but it turned out that the ghost of the old warrior was a little old engine called Bertram. He worked in the old mine all those years ago, and we became great friends, and we took the visitors to both the splendid castle and the mine ever since. You can follow my best stories on this link here. I hope you enjoy this exciting adventure. Hello, I'm Percy. My adventures made a promise to Thomas that I would take some children home after the Vicar's Sunday School. I got warned there was bad weather on the way, and that's when the trouble began when I arrived to collect Annie and Clarabel. It started to rain very heavily. It rained so much that I struggled to see the line ahead, and I had to keep on going. When I came to a valley further down the line, it was badly flooded, and I grounded to a halt. All the water was trying to get into my boiler, but luckily there was a guard travelling at the back of my passenger train in a brake van. They quickly got some floorboards, and I was just about to make enough steam to set off again when Harold, the helicopter, flew over. I thought he'd come to laugh at me, but I was wrong. He dropped a parachute on my boiler, full of hot drinks to save our lives, and I was so grateful that he did that. I set off once again. I was losing steam again, but I didn't give up. I just made it to the last station, and Thomas saw that I kept his promise, and the Fat Controller was very pleased with me. You can follow the best of my adventures on this link here. See you later. I'm James, the Red Engine. I want to tell you the story when the time when I got to pull the express train for the very first time. It all started one particular night when Gordon was boasting how important he was, and it is true that he had been pulling express trains long before I came to Sodor, and he never lost his way on the main line. But all the same, I just wish I could pull the express, but I was worried that I wasn't allowed to pull coaches, especially a time when I bumped them so hard that they had to be mended with bootlaces. On that morning I fetched coaches for his first express run, and I got on shunting both coaches and trucks in the yard. Suddenly Gordon came back so early, and he said that he was switched off the main line onto the loop and had to go all round and back again. All the other angry passengers were complaining what a bad railway it was, but the Fat Controller made an announcement and said that another engine will take the express instead, and that engine was me! I finally got my chance and I took Gordon's train. All the other passengers enjoyed my ride in the express, and the Fat Controller said I can take the express train anytime. Gordon was pleased that I managed so well that he didn't mind me taking the express train at all. If Gordon's busy handling other goods or resting, I take the express for him. We made a deal about that, and we were firm friends ever since. Here, on this link below your screen, is where you can find my great adventures. Enjoy this story. I'm Gordon. I'm a big engine and I'm very important. I have such a great story to tell you. It's the time when I got to pull the royal train, and that is when Her Majesty the Queen came to visit us. It was not long after me and Thomas had been in trouble by the Fat Controller. I ran into a ditch when I didn't want to take the special train, and Thomas fell down the mine and I had to come to his rescue. Had been banned for pulling the express for a long time, and Thomas wasn't allowed on his branch line. However, we agreed that we both helped each other, and we hoped that the Fat Controller would forgive us soon. When me and Thomas arrived back at the sheds, we discovered that the decorations had been hung up and the shed doors had been repainted. The Fat Controller was telling us the exciting news about the Queen coming to Sodor to see us. Nobody knew who was going to pull the royal train, but Henry was guaranteed that he was sure that he was going to take the royal train. Well, I think he would have done if he hadn't have missed his opportunity when he had that big pot of paint dropped all over him. But the Fat Controller had decided that after a great deal of our recent events, he said that me and Thomas deserve a treat. Thomas was in charge of looking after the royal train, and I got to pull it. The great day finally arrived. All the other engines brought passengers to the station to watch the Queen arriving. Thomas sorted out the royal train really well. Edward led me with the royal train into the station. My buffers had been repainted white, and I had 2 royal crests on the side of my smoke box. I never felt so splendid. The Queen spoke to Thomas for fetching her train, then Edward, who guided us here, and finally me for taking the royal train, and the Queen said that no engine deserved to pull the royal train more than me, and everyone agreed. What a grand day it was for the island of Sodor. If you would like to see many more of my important adventures, then here is the link to find them. Hello, I'm Henry the Green Engine. My favourite story is when I taught Gordon and some stupid boys a lesson. I just come back from crew of having a new shape. Gordon was so jealous about that, and he tells me off for whistling too loudly at every station. I mean, look what happened to him when he whistled extremely loudly, and that's because his valve was loose. Gordon hadn't talked very much about whistles ever since. I mean, he did say it wasn't wrong. Well, the following day I was pulling the express train for him, and when I got towards a bridge, some boys threw stones at me and my coaches. Some of the stones hit my boiler and spoilt my paint. One hit the fireman on the head while he was shoveling coal, and the others broke the carriage's windows. But we planned to pay them back. I was going to sneeze at them, and we asked all the passengers to keep all windows shut till we passed the bridge where the boys were. As we approached the bridge, my driver gave me the signal when to sneeze, and ashes flew into the air and covered those stupid boys. I was very pleased that I taught them a great lesson, and you can enjoy the ultimate of my adventures on this link here below the screen. In the meantime, here we go with this story. Hello, I'm Edward. This is a story is when I helped my friend Trevor the traction engine with the Vicar's special garden party. Well, there was one particular day when Trevor was telling me how much children love taking holidays by the sea, and he and the Vicar wanted to do just the same to his children. He planned a very special garden party to raise money specially for that. I wanted to help too, but sadly, I couldn't do any more to help with that because there weren't any rails to get me to the garden party. But Trevor told me that the Vicar didn't have time to put up posters for the party, and I had them pasted on my cabin coaches, so wherever I go, they'll go too. On the day of the party, there was a lot going on there. The day before, it rained a lot, and the ground was very wet, boggy and muddy. But it didn't stop the party going on. Trevor gave a lot of children rides along the lane, but Bertie the bus, who dropped off a load of people at the Vicar's garden party, got stuck in the mud. But luckily, Terence the tractor was there and heaved Bertie cleared from the mud. But the party was a great success, and they managed to raise more than enough money for the children's seaside trip, all thanks to my bright ideas. You can see some more of my adventures on this link here below your screen. Have fun! Hello, I'm Thomas the Tank Engine. My very favourite story in my lifetime is when we got a letter from a little girl. It happened one evening when I met Toby and Percy at the last station, and they were sure that something exciting was going to happen. Well, they were right. At that moment, we saw a big group of engines heading towards the same way as we were going, and told us that the Fat Controller had very exciting news. When we got to our destination, he told us that the little girl wanted to meet us, and we were going to the big city. The other engines were going to do our work while we were there, and we needed to show them what to do. I got more and more excited. Well, a bit too excited if you ask me, and that's when I showed off to Oliver how fast I was going when I raced with Bertie. I ran into some buffers, crashed through a fence, slid down a slope and right into a brick wall. My front was badly bent and I had to go to the works. I was worried I was going to miss the trip to the big city. Tell you what though, I really almost did. I just made it to the station as they were about to leave to go to the big city. We set off to the city. When we arrived, we lined up in a splendid shed, and the children were so happy to see us there. You can see the best of my adventures on this link here below your screen. Off we go with the last story for today. I would like to thank all my engines, buses and helicopters for introducing their favourite stories, and thank you all for watching this video. And now it's the very moment you've all been waiting for. To celebrate 80 years of the railway stories, all my engines will be running down the line, and you need to recognise all of them. And can you count how many coaches and trucks they're pulling? So I'll leave you with all my engines, with some music.